Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning blog. My name is Melisa Galasso and I'm super excited to talk about 2025 year in review. So first off, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. We're going to take a look at all of the things that issued back in 2025 for a nice year in review. We're going to start with the FASB. Ultimately, they ended up issuing 12 ASUs last year. So that's a pretty big increase over the much smaller numbers we've seen recently. However, most of them are pretty niche standards. So again, these are not RevRec leases level standards. They're much nicher, much smaller in size. So the first one's actually a clarification of an update related to DICE, which only impacts public business entities and that disaggregation of income statement expenses. The second one is actually also an SEC related item. So again, pretty narrow. The third one moves VIE guidance for acquisitions. So this is an important standard because currently it's kind of unintuitive. The guidance is kind of rigid for VIEs and is inconsistent with voting guidance. And so we're going to go to a more principles-based approach that aligns and will bring things together. And then we have classification of share-based consideration payable to a customer. Again, that's addressing a practice issue that we saw between some of the existing standards. What everybody was kind of looking forward to last year, ASU 2025-05, which was the update to CECL addressing particularly accounts receivable and contract assets. And so again, a little bit of an exception with a practical expedient for private entities and nonprofits, and then even public business entities get into some of the exceptions there. So again, when you take a look at that one, that has a pretty big impact on CECL, particularly around AR and contract assets. Then we had software, so particularly internal use software, getting a little bit of a modernization. That standard's pretty old, and the old waterfall methodology didn't really make sense, so they gave it a nice modernization, removing some of the phases, but not a complete overhaul. Moving on to 2025-07, this one is a derivative scope exception, which is very interesting, removing some of the guidance around things that are not really related to the underlying, so you'll see some exceptions there. Then we have an ASU on purchased loans in particular. Again, this was something that, again, we saw some interest in from the CECL side of the house. We've got more hedge accounting improvements. Again, these are pretty narrow scope. A big one that we were waiting for, ASU 2510, related to government grants by business entities. During COVID, there was no guidance. You either had to analogize IAS guidance or nonprofit guidance. So now we have government guidance for business entities in particular. 2025-11 is on narrow scope improvements to interim reporting. So again, they kind of brought all the places where interim guidance is together and added a little bit of a principles-based approach there. And then the last one was codification improvements. So again, it was a pretty, while there are 12 standards, pretty narrow in terms of some of the guidelines there. The GASB only finalized one standard, and that is related to subsequent events, making it more government specific, using terminology that makes more sense for governmental entities. PEEC, on the other hand, had quite a bit. Section 529 plans finally got their update. So we had a technical adjustment that was made early, and then they went in and instead of considering 529 plans to be direct financial interest, they're indirect financial interest, which should make it a lot easier for those who have, investments in these types of 529 plans. Quality management was mostly terminology and some adjustments there. It was a final issuance. Simultaneous employment got an update. Originally, it was addressing USERRA, the Uniform Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. But while they were in there, they did a big overhaul. And again, so they have some rules and then they have a principle mixed in there as well. And then sort of step one, phase one of a much larger project looking at the SSAEs. Both the ASB and PEEC are looking at projects in this area. So no surprise there. And then ARSC got out SARS 27, and this was really around CAS practices and consulting engagements and whether or not you had to have a preparation engagement letter. So it was a fun year, 2025. We saw a lot of movement in this area and definitely something that we want to be following. So hopefully we take a look at what's going to come in 2026. And we know that the GASB has mostly exposure draft planned for this year. We don't expect too much in terms of final standards. They've got some big ones that they're working on, like revenue expense recognition. So that's got a lot more time to it. AICPA has quite a few things that we're looking forward to seeing, confirmations and fraud. And then FASB does also have a pretty big set of agenda items that they're looking through. So let's see what comes in 2026. As a reminder, we do offer audit level training. So if you have new staff in 2026 and you want to get them ready to go, we offer levels 1 through 4, which are our new hires and interns, all the way through experienced seniors. And we'd love to bring you guys into a cohort, or even if you want to do a custom training, Jacqueline's phenomenal. And I think you guys would really enjoy her. But that's a wrap on today's blog. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to see you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.